Hey Longhorns, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the endocrine system. So the function of the endocrine system is to create and release hormones. Hormones travel through the body, and when they travel through the body, what they end up doing is they actually control the actions of cells, tissues, and organs. So a gland is an organ that produces the hormone. And there are different types of glands, and we're going to talk about some of them. Hormones are chemicals that are produced And the thing with hormones is that they're produced in one part of the body. So, for example, the pituitary gland in the brain produces certain hormones, and those hormones will then affect the other body systems and other parts of the body. They don't stay in the brain. And so that's the thing with hormones. They travel throughout the body. The pituitary gland produces a hormone, of course, but it regulates many of the other endocrine glands. So the endocrine system, where it's talking about all hormones, and so the pituitary, not only does it produce hormones, but it also helps regulate or control other endocrine glands. The hypothalamus makes hormones that controls the pituitary gland and hormones that are stored. So the hypothalamus is actually a part of the brain, a certain section of the brain, and so it helps control the pituitary. The thyroid gland is one that's kind of like, is kind of located like in your throat area. A lot of times when you're sick and you go to the doctor and they start feeling and like pressing on your throat, they are checking to see if your thyroid gland is inflamed. What the thyroid gland does is it produces a specific hormone called thyroxine. And what that does is it helps regulate metabolism. Metabolism is how fast your body breaks down food and converts energy, or converts that food into energy for your body. And so remember, metabolism is like when you eat something and you digest it, how quickly you're able to digest it is part of your metabolism. How fast your body can take that energy, convert it into glucose that your muscles use to move around. That's all part of metabolism. The adrenal glands, they are located on top of the kidneys, and they release hormones that help the body respond to stress. Y'all, I can't spell anymore. So an example of a hormone that's released through the adrenal glands is adrenaline. So if someone has ever like jumped out from behind a bush or something and scared you, that like instantaneous rush that you feel where like you're ready, if you needed to, you could run or you could fight, that's adrenaline. If you're an athlete, you can also feel adrenaline like when you're preparing for a game or a meet, and like you're thinking about it and then you feel like that surge of you're pumped up, you're ready to go, like that's adrenaline. That's helping your body to work a little bit faster. You don't really pay attention to pain and such. So that's what adrenaline does. There are other types of hormones that are released through the adrenal glands, but that's the main one, the most well-known one, I should say. So ovaries are the female sex organs, or part of the female sex organs. We're going to talk about the reproductive system after the endocrine system. But the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. Those are required for the development of the female sex organs. In addition to, it preps the body for pregnancy. So this next one we're going to take, we're going to divide it by boys versus girls. So ovaries. So the ovaries produce two specific hormones that are needed to not only help develop the female sex organs, but also prepare the body for pregnancy. And then testes, they are part of the male reproductive system. Again, we're going to talk about that in the next video. And the testes or testicle produces testosterone, which allows the production of sperm, but it also develops the male reproductive organs. So similar to the ovaries in what it produces, or its function, it produces a hormone that's necessary for development. So the last one is a target cell and a receptor. A target cell is pretty much what it sounds like. It is a cell that is being targeted or selected. So I'm going to break this one up by target cell, and we're going to talk about that first, and then the receptors. So target cell is a cell So, for example, the pituitary gland creates a hormone that helps your body grow. So, let's say it releases a hormone that will tell your bone cells that they need to be growing and dividing. And so, that hormone will travel from the brain down into your bone cells. The bone cells are the target cells, and because they are the target cell for this specific hormone, they have a very specific receptor, or you can kind of think of it like a email address in a way. So like if you want to email your mom, she has her own specific email address. If you want to email your best friend, he or she has their own specific email address. And so the bones have a specific email address or receptor that the growth hormone from the pituitary gland recognizes and will go, oh, you're who I need to go and talk to. And so the message will get sent from the pituitary to the bone. I hope that makes sense. If not, please come into office hours, 10 to noon, Monday through Friday, unless there's a holiday. And so receptors are, so email addresses are very virtual, right? You can't like see the email being transferred, right? In cells, it's physical. And so probably a better analogy would be a lock and key. So the target cell is the lock, and then the key would be the receptor. And so to unlock the cell or to get into the cell, it has to fit into the lock and turn. And so the receptor is a specific protein that fits the messenger or the hormone. So the receptor is kind of like the lock portion. And the lock and key example is a much better one than the email address one because this is a physical thing. It's not virtual. All right, so we're going to label. And here we have a male and a female system. For the majority of these hormones and glands, they're the same and they're located in the same spots. The differences come when it's time for the male and female organs. So we're going to start at the top with the pineal gland, and it's in the same spot in both. This is a side view, this is a frontal view. So it is actually right there. Then we have the pituitary, we have the pituitary and the hypothalamus. And that one's a little bit bigger. It's actually two different ones, but they're so close together that it's easier to just mark them as with one little dot. Then we have the thyroid gland. Remember, this one is the one that's in the neck. Thyroid. And it controls metabolism. You also have the thymus gland. The pancreas. The adrenal. In the males, you have the testes. In the females, you have the ovaries. And then also, during pregnancy, and this is only during pregnancy, females have a specific thing called the placenta. And when we talk about the reproductive system and you watch the video, it will go a little bit more into what the placenta does. Basically, it sends messages and signals from the fetus that's inside the mother to the mother's body. But again, that is only during pregnancy. So like unpregnant females do not have a placenta. At this point, I want y'all to go and try this, attempt it, see what you know. Remember, this is more just like a completion grade. As long as you're attempting it, we're not gonna like dock you points, okay? We will tell you, hey, you got this one wrong. That should have been the adrenal instead of the pituitary, but we're not gonna like take off points because you got something wrong. What we want to do now is just foster learning, okay? So go attempt it, pause the video, come back, and then check your work after you've submitted it. All right. So starting at the top, we have the pineal gland. And then the pituitary and hypothalamus. Pituitary and hypothalamus. After that, the one in your throat is the thyroid. Next is the thymus. Then we have the pancreas. And remember, for the most part, this is the same male or female. The adrenal. Whoops. It's when we come to the reproductive organs that do release hormones that they become different. So that's why, like, up here in the word bank, things are listed twice. It's because it's both. Okay. So on the male, we have the testes or testicles. And in the female, we have the ovaries and the placenta, but remember the placenta is only during a pregnancy. All right, for the fill in the blank. The function of the endocrine system is to release hormones that control cells, tissues, and organs. A hormone is a chemical produced in one part of an organism, usually a gland, that affects another part of the same organism. So, for example, in your thyroid, it produces a gland. The thyroid's in your throat, and it affects like muscles in your stomach and your gut. Like, those are two different body parts. They're kind of far away from each other, so it's, you know, it affects a different area of the body than where that hormone is produced. The hypothalamus makes hormones that regulate the pituitary gland. Adrenal glands release hormones that help the body respond to stress. Remember, adrenal sounds like adrenaline. The ovaries produce the female hormones, estrogen and progesterone. And then the testicles produce the, oh, that should be male. I just found a typo, guys. Sorry. Male hormone, testosterone. All right, if you have any questions, come to office hours. Remember that the office hours got switched, so now science is from 11 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday, unless there's a holiday. So come on by, just say hi. You want to learn how to pronounce some of these words like hypothalamus? Pop on in. We miss y'all.